For where? Is that the one I just brought in?
Yeah. Magic, bro.
You gotta be fucking kidding me, bro.
One day I'll reveal my secrets. Fucking magic.
Did you do that on purpose for the camera?
I think my magic just comes naturally, bro. I don't have to try.
Welcome to episode 7 of the Scaling Up podcast. First things first, before we get into anything else, for fuck's sake, guys. Wait, actually, that's too early into the video to say fuck. But we had the filler beforehand, probably with the lighter, so we're good. For fuck's sake, guys, subscribe to the podcast if you're watching this right now. It's kind of crazy that you gotta like say it over and over, subscribe, or nobody actually subscribes. But we consistently get more views than we have subscribers on the podcast, so it doesn't make any sense. The math isn't mathing. So if you're watching this right now, do us a favor, subscribe to the podcast channel, because shit, this almost never happened because Tanner almost got us killed the other day.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been here. There was a chance we almost didn't make it through last week.
Tanner almost ended it all for us. Yeah, and this is just 2 days. We're filming this like 2 days after the last podcast, and it already feels like a month. Like so much has fucking gone on.
It really does.
To back things up, we were filming Tanner's video the day after we filmed the last podcast, and we had a gun pulled out on us. And this would be my third time getting a gun pulled out on me.
That's it?
Yeah, how many times have you had it happen?
For pranks?
For pranks. And in your lifetime. Go ahead. Tell us.
For pranks, probably about 5. In real life, probably add another like 2 times maybe.
Well, this is real life. What the fuck do you mean?
Well, for not pranks. So like total like good stuff.
If he shot us, it wouldn't have been a prank.
Mostly it was Florida where I got guns pulled on me for pranks, obviously.
It's funny how all the comments assume that this happened in Texas or Florida.
Yeah.
People don't even realize this wasn't fucking Cali.
Right.
But yeah, so I've had guns pulled on me twice before. This was by far the scariest time ever. I'll let you guys know why in a second to back things up again. The first 2 times I had them pulled on me. First time was when I was doing the Indian IRS scammer video. I asked fans whose houses I can pull up to and prank their relatives, roommates, whoever they live with. So I would show up, I would tell them their full name and say they owe money to the IRS as an obvious Indian scammer. And this one guy was pointing an AK-47 at me through the door.
An AK?
An AK.
Holy shit.
But the thing is, I never even saw it till after we revealed the prank. So at that point, like obviously I was with his friend. He saw we were cool. So I was never like, oh shit, because I never actually saw him pointing it at me. But apparently he was pointing the AK the whole time through the door. The second time I was near that sort of situation was when we were filming one of Basque's fake pranks in the hood. And the thing is, when you're going to the hood to recruit actors for those fake videos, you gotta have somebody who's connected with some sort of gang, or at the very least have like a hood type black guy who can speak to those people, who looks like he belongs, 2 white guys going to the hood with no connections.
At that point it turns into a real prank because you're just approaching those people.
Dude,
if you don't have that.
Yeah, so Basque thought it was a good idea to just pull up on like these like 10 gangsters on a side street by their house and be like, hey, you guys want to participate in my prank video with this thick Russian accent? And so a guy came up and just put an Uzi straight to his head.
That's wild.
But the thing is, again, I never really saw it. I was kind of looking the other way. I just didn't want to like look their way to begin with. So I didn't even realize that had happened until after. So in this situation, I saw it very clearly. I was the one filming it. And the scariest part was not that the gun was pulled on us. It's the fact that you continued for like 5 fucking minutes afterwards.
Yeah, so let me
By the way, first, check out Tanner's new video if you haven't already.
Yeah.
So this all makes sense. But go ahead and explain yourself, because I'd love to hear an explanation.
So for the people who watched it and probably just think I'm fucking psycho and got on my knees when somebody had a gun, I actually didn't know he had a gun at first. So the way it all went down is, you guys will see in the video, when I was in the shower, Hugo came in. That's when he originally pulled the gun out. So I didn't see it. So I came out of the shower wondering, like, why are they leaving? Like, I was like, Eric, like, where you going, bro? Like, we're still filming. And I'm like still in character, still trolling. I'm about to like serve Hugo up. And Eric is like kind of just, they're just like silent. Even Hugo is like looking scared. I'm like, what the fuck are y'all so scared for? Like, we're filming. And I literally get on my knees because there was no table. So I get on my knees to use the floor to weigh the weed out. And then I look up and he's like, check this out. And he kind of like showed the gun more. And I was like, oh shit, this motherfucker has a gun out. And I still thought that's when he originally pulled it out. So that's pretty much when I was like, I was still in character, but I was like, all right, man, like, you gonna rob me for my noodles? And I started to walk out. But yeah, I didn't even know. So I was wondering why they were leaving, but it all makes sense after that.
So let me tell you from my perspective what actually happened because you were in the shower for most of it. So
there was a clear shot of it too, of when it got pulled out. So
you're welcome. But the fact that you wanted me to continue filming afterwards is kind of wild.
Yeah.
And I still did. I was kind of just like halfway through the door.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the door would have protected a bullet, but
yeah. And at that point, I still didn't know. Like I said, until he kind of like almost showed it to me.
Yeah. So let me tell you what actually happened. So you went into the shower. Hugo showed up way too early and in the other room. So I'm standing there. You probably didn't put this footage because we might be able to hear Hugo, but not clearly because he didn't have a mic. But we can't see him in the shot because I'm still there waiting for you to come out and getting their reactions. So they were arguing with Hugo for like a good 2 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't hear
He was there to do the drug deal with you. And I don't think he said he's there to do a drug deal, but he said something like, I'm here to visit my friend or something like that. And then when Hugo started walking towards that other room is when the guy got really pissed and he pulled the gun out. And Hugo, you know, you saw he scurried right away.
Yeah.
I was not as worried because he gave me the vibe that I was like the only one he's cool with because
He just wanted Hugo out.
Because I wasn't doing anything weird. You guys were the ones doing the prank.
Yeah.
But he also didn't realize I was recording. He thought I was just kind of there with you. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this shot real quick. But oh my God, if he sees the camera right now, like I'm fucked. Like you guys, we've talked about why we don't tell people it's a prank beforehand. Like he probably would have gotten more pissed if he saw the camera than at what you guys were doing. So I'm like, I'm on this guy's good side for now, but let me just get out of sight like real fast once I get the shot because like, you know, it could go from bad to worse if he realizes that I'm recording. And then
he kept saying he's a cop too. You didn't hear that at first, so you didn't even know at first.
No. I was there. The woman's like, call the police. He's like, I am the police or something along those lines. And I'm like, well, what is... That's a weird thing to say. And then he pulls the gun out.
I think he's an ex-cop.
But let me finish telling the story. So I'm walking out, and I think at that point, you're just getting out of the shower. And you're walking towards the door, still in character. And I hear you just like, yo, Eric, film. I'm like, are we seriously still continuing this? And then I turn around. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to just dip or but I'm like, fuck it, you know, he recorded for me when we were at gunpoint with the police. So I just record kind of halfway through like blocking my body through the door. So not that the door
was still good enough.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it was still a good shot, right? But yeah, and then I turn around. The first thing I see is you on your knees. And I'm like, am I missing the joke? Like, I thought you were like mocking him or something because he has a gun. Like, go ahead and shoot me. And
I literally got in the position for him to execute me. Like,
I remember just thinking like, what the actual fuck?
Looking back on that, I just started dying laughing because I didn't even realize that he had a gun at that point, and I literally got on my knees. And even the look on his face, he's like,
bro,
he's like looking at y'all, looking at the realtor, like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Everybody in that house, me, Hugo, the realtor, him, we all thought you're just legit out of your mind in that moment.
Even Hugo, as after, was like, damn, I didn't know Tanner was that crazy.
Like, I think in that moment, we all had the same thought. Like, what the fuck?
But, like, what would you have said to me if I was like, oh, I knew he had a gun, bro. Come on, we're still filming.
Wait, what?
Like, if I actually knew he had a gun out that whole time and I still did that, would you be, like, worried for my mental, like, clarity?
Yeah, at that point, I would have had a talk with you, like, bro, in the future, you know, if this ever happens, I'll be the one to, like, decide where to draw the line because I don't... Bro, imagine getting shot for, like, a fucking open house prank.
Yeah.
First of all, I still don't know who that guy was. Was he a realtor too, or was he like the boyfriend of the realtor lady? But a realtor pulling a gun on you, like that's just like such a wild scenario.
Maybe he was like the boyfriend just there kind of like protecting or something, you know?
Just waiting for that moment.
Yeah, because I mean, it was right in the middle of Hollywood, and she's a female realtor, so like you never know who's going to walk in the house, obviously. Like, so
You're like the first person to.
Yeah, for real.
They had just opened the open house. Because we're on that Wes Watson schedule now. We started early.
Still,
yeah. So we're like the first customers they got. Fucked up their flow state for the day.
Oh, that's a story they're going to remember forever, though.
Yeah. And,
yeah, there's only a few times we stop pranks, and a gun getting pulled on you is definitely one of those times. And like, it's not that I would stop it. It's just like I stay in character, but we start to like turn around or leave. As long as we're leaving, you can stay in character. It's when you start to show like aggressiveness or something, And if they have a gun, that's when they can obviously shoot you.
Well, it depends on who the person is, too. Yeah. Obviously, that guy, you could tell he was somewhat...
He had gun discipline, you could
mentally
tell by the way he was holding it.
Yeah, so...
His finger wasn't on the trigger. He was pointing it down. He never aimed it at it.
If it was like some hood dude, you might want to break character and be like, yeah, I'm just joking, you know? But this guy, you could push it a little bit as you're leaving, but you getting on your knees and shit, I'm like, are we really continuing this right now?
Yeah, that's wild.
And then I thought, like, do I film this? Do I dip? Well, I have to film because, like, what would I want? Because I just think from the perspective of this was my video, I would want the person to film. But
even it, like,
then again, I would never push it.
Even if your life is at risk, like, you still have to film it. You have to. Like, even if, like, we don't want to be there, we're leaving, you still have to film it. You know, you still have to get it on video because, I mean, what if we did get shot and, like, don't get me wrong, it would suck, but imagine if we didn't have it on video or if we could have had it on video.
But what if all three of us get shot, they just destroy the camera? And then what?
True.
An investigation starts to find the camera. And
yeah, exactly.
So you'd at least want me to get out of there, right?
Yeah. The only other YouTuber who ever got shot doing pranks was coincidentally named Tanner.
Yeah, and if you guys saw that situation, the guy who shot him also went like 0 to 100.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But he was like really close up on him. So I feel like we never touch people. We never really get like in their personal space, I feel like.
Well, bro, you were in their house, like refusing to leave, getting on your knees to do a drug deal. Bro, but...
And they believed it too. They never saw the camera. So they fully believed I was just some crazy person.
So at first I was getting the haha, what's your TikTok vibe from the lady. She's like, oh, Big Red, you're not showering. Mm-hmm. And even the guy was like, man.
Yeah.
He did say he's the police captain or some shit. He loves saying that.
I just don't. He went from 0 to 100 because, like, he was being so cool. He said he was going to let me shower. He was like, man, you could have just told me that. I would have let you shower.
Yeah, he's like, just rinse up real quick.
He's like, rinse off and you got to go, man. And then for some reason, Hugo coming in, instantly, get the fuck out of my house.
Well, Hugo does have that, well, let's just say it, like that irritating look. Like, he's very good at pissing people off just by the way he looks.
He can turn on that aura that pisses people off, for sure.
It's a rare talent.
Yeah.
But Hugo definitely has it.
It's a good thing to have for pranks, though, to be honest.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, if you're not a big guy, like, we have an advantage of, like, doing certain pranks. If you're not a bigger guy, you almost have to have that, like, face that, you know, people want to, like, just pisses people off because that's how you get the reactions.
I don't know. If you look at, like, Loaf, though, he pisses me off.
He has the most punchable face there is.
I know, but, like, Hugo looks funny and punchable at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like, Hugo is just, his look is made for pranks.
Yeah.
Whereas Loaf just looks like irritating in a different sense. Yeah. Like, fuck this weirdo, you know? Oh, they also had a videographer there.
Yeah.
It was like, when we were coming in, he was taking pictures of the house and shit. Or
he was doing B-roll of the whole house.
Yeah, and then you noticed this when you were editing. He was filming.
He was focused, like, eyes on the camera, like, getting the best shot.
Must be nice, not having to worry about getting shot while you're filming.
I really wish I could get that shot, bro. That'd be the perfect thumbnail.
Brother, if you're watching this.
Yeah, send me that footage, man. Even though I already posted the video, but
still, that's a badass
thing. It'd be for my second channel or something.
I wonder how much of the footage you got, because there's a lot of missing parts where I walked out of the house.
Oh, he got all of it from the time we were in the living room, the whole thing.
So send it over if you have it.
I know they're gonna see it too. At least the short.
Okay, and then that was the first open house. The second open house we went to, well, it wasn't the second open house, because keep in mind, there's always scenes that just nothing happens and they're boring and they never get posted.
Yeah.
But the second usable open house we went to, the one that's in the video, basically at a certain point he noticed the camera, and of course we cut all that bullshit out, but...
He noticed it pretty soon.
No, not until like halfway through the drug deal.
Yeah, when Hugo came in. Yeah, but it was still pretty early on compared to how much time we were in there.
Okay, so he noticed the camera and he kept saying, like, what's your bit? Haha, like, like the worst things for me to hear. I probably would have just walked out of the house if that was me.
And I mean, we talked about this on the last podcast, how we don't use those reactions because that's not what we're going for. We're going for like the prank or the creative idea that we came up with, how they react to that. Not just, oh, you're filming, because anybody can go in a store and hold a camera up and they're gonna be like, oh, you're filming, haha, what's your TikTok? It's just not a reaction, not a real genuine reaction from
That's literally part of the mentality of why I started the creep character, because I noticed like people get more pissed when they notice the camera than they do at the actual prank. So why not make filming the prank? So when filming is the prank, then it's the prank. If it's a separate prank, then you don't want them to know you're filming.
Right.
Even with the creep, I have a separate camera guy who is supposed to be hidden.
Yeah.
Getting the reaction.
And they don't know that.
Yeah.
They don't know that's why you're doing it. They think you're actually a creep filming somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Like most people, when they do it, they know you're a YouTuber. Like when you do creep, you're not getting what's your TikTok.
Oh yeah.
It's like, who's this psycho guy filming me?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so the second guy noticed that we were filming. He called some other guy on the phone, and the guy on the phone was like, send me a picture of these clowns. So he sent a picture of you, and he sent a picture of me, and then he's like, wait, take a closer picture of the second guy. Is he Russian or something? Mm-hmm. So
did you hear him on the phone actually saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you didn't hear it when editing?
No, I didn't.
Because he 1,000,000% said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he took pictures of us. Also on the phone, the guy who we were pranking said, I don't know what they're doing, but it's actually pretty funny. That's basically what he said. Mm-hmm. And then the guy on the phone said, give him 5 minutes to leave or we're calling the cops. And you're like, oh, bet I have 5 minutes. Yeah. And we just finished it. We walked out. The last thing he said to us.
People always say that. You got 5 minutes and like plenty of time.
So as we're leaving, the realtor guy tells us, make sure you shout me out. That's like the last thing he says to us. Then we walk into the car. He took a picture of us, which we didn't know at the time. He took a picture of us walking. And then I turn around before we leave. He waves at me. I wave back at him and smile. And we take off. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, we didn't know what he was going to do with these pictures. But he ended up posting them on Instagram, apparently looking for us. And then some other guy who apparently was associated with him and the guy on the phone in some way. It was not the guy on the phone because I listened to him talk.
Just some other realtor friend?
Yeah, just a guy who was not even there. So here's what he said about what happened. And I'll pop this up on the screen. Wildest shit I ever seen in my life. How did he see it besides the pictures? This dude walked into our open house and did a drug transaction and took a shower. Me and the realtor thought it was a TikTok prank. All my realtors, be safe out there, y'all. Needless to say, me and Ed handled him once he got dressed and found his identity. He had the right ones today. LA real estate is the Wild West. In a $3 million crib? Come on, bro. Okay, so once you got dressed, they handled you?
Yeah, first of all, that's weird because he wasn't even there.
But how did they handle you?
And they said they handled us, which doesn't make any sense at all because we literally stayed there as long as we wanted. They didn't even ask us.
Okay, so the first realtor,
let alone tell us.
I guess you could say the first house, kind of. That guy handled us.
He handled us. That motherfucker handled his shit.
Yeah.
The second realtor wasn't about shit compared to the first realtor. Like, the other guy handled that shit, bro. This guy, I mean, he was chill. Like, I thought we were almost like cool. Like, we left like, all right, bro.
I almost wanted to tell him the channel because I felt like the other guy already knows who I am.
And then he handled us. I don't really understand that.
And then he posted this after. Me and almost had to crack some heads today. Wild.
Like when?
I must have missed this.
When were you going to crack our heads? It doesn't make any sense.
Is this guy like John Cena? You can't see him? Maybe he was there the whole time?
Oh shit, maybe just wearing
Invisible
camouflage
Man?
or something. Yeah. He's probably wearing camo.
I mean, that's smart for like an enforcer. Mm-hmm. If you can't see him, you don't know when he's going to crack your head.
Can't talk till you know the full story.
You know, and he said this is the craziest shit he's ever seen. Cool.
I'm not surprised by that. I actually am kind of surprised. Being a realtor in LA, you've never had that shit happen before? Something like that, you know? Like a homeless guy come in, just wander in.
It's surprising to us because, like, to us, this is just like a day's, literally like a day of work. Like, this is like every week, some shit happening. But
bro, do you ever, like, not to get off subject, but do you ever like sit there and think like the shit you do every week and it's just something different and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I just do the most random shit every week.
Oh, I've had these
all the time, bro.
But like I said, that's why I started doing pranks.
Yeah.
What is life if not stories to tell?
Exactly.
Like when I was bodybuilding full time again. Fucking boring. Well, now we have shit to talk about on the podcast. What would it have been otherwise?
Yeah.
Fucking how much chicken and rice I ate this week and how I fell asleep while I was on my third broccoli meal and I farted.
How many farts you had?
Yeah.
Protein farts?
How many injections I did.
What's your cycle at?
How many sets of biceps I did. Like, come on. This is way more exciting. Even though, I mean, you kind of really pushed the boundaries this week.
I did, but it was like on accident. You know?
You can't be making accidents like that.
You can't, bro. That was almost a lethal accident right there. It's pretty dangerous. Yeah, I was just so confused why you guys were walking out. I was genuinely just like, why are they leaving? Just because they're telling you to? Like, we're still filming.
I mean, maybe I should have told you with like the Russian accent. Dinner. We have to go. Gun or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say it.
Unless you said gun, I wouldn't have known what you were talking about.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it in my real voice because, again...
We gotta have a code word. There's a weapon.
Sure. Yeah.
It's actually a good idea.
But I didn't want to say it in my real voice because, again, he thought I was the cool, chill guy just standing there. I didn't want to blow my cover and get on his bad side, too.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would have just made everything worse.
I think that's actually a great
everybody.
idea to have a code word for if you see someone that has a gun.
For sure. But yeah, the guys who said they handled us, like, what is the point of telling the story like that?
Just making shit up.
And then they tagged you too. Like, what is the point? Did a single person come from that story?
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't get any more DMs from them.
Like, I understand if it's like Joey Swoll or somebody sending his minions and that's like a checkmate. But when you have way less followers, what is, like, do they realize you could tag them? I'm like,
yeah.
like it could backfire real quick.
They're kind of lucky I didn't put them on the YouTube video.
And yeah, what's the point of telling the story like that, number one? And number two, what are you so mad about? Like, it's the wildest shit you've ever seen in your life.
For real. I mean, he looked like he was having fun that day. He kept saying it. He was like, I mean, this is funny, but...
Yeah, literally. Yeah. That was his vibe the whole time, and then somehow it turned into they almost cracked our skulls. Yeah. Which is including some guy who wasn't even there. Like, what the fuck?
And then the guy on the phone who would have morphed through the phone to be theirs somehow.
But that it wasn't the guy on the phone. It was somebody else.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so that covers everything. Is there anything else you want to say on the subject of the guy pulling the gun?
If y'all motherfuckers want to handle me, pull up. No, I'm just kidding.
Speaking of which, somebody else said that recently.
What?
His name is Fouad Abiad. Yeah. He basically told somebody else to pull up.
Yeah.
And the guy actually did. And that's going to be the other topic that we talk about. So Fouad and I obviously have a bit of a history. We've had some interactions at expos. I legit have no issue with him, though. And I don't with anybody at any of these expos. Like, people think it's like, oh, are you still beefing with this person, that person, the 6'7" guy? Like,
it's not beef. Like, we're actually...
It might be beef to them.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, I'm just like, it's funny to me.
We would invite any of them over on the couch to the podcast.
So yeah, to me, it's all funny. And yeah, so this person pulled up to Fouad's house. I'm surprised it hasn't blown up more like the Mike Van Wyck thing. But I could also see kind of why, because it was kind of a nobody pulling up versus Jeff Nipper getting attacked. And also, it was filmed like shit, dude. What the fuck? Yeah. Fouad didn't have some CCTV footage or some shit? Like, come on. What was that?
He doesn't have like a house camera?
He has to. I guess he just doesn't want to release it. But also, what is up with the fitness industry? Like,
I know, all this crazy shit. I mean, like you said, man, like, it's normal talk is boring, so they have to have like beef and shit to keep the relevancy and the viralness going. For real. I think that's what it is. Like, they have to have, like, dramatic moments because they don't happen naturally.
I mean, people who just talk about lifting weights and farting and eating chicken and rice, like, where did these fights stem from?
You got to pull about out to...
With Mike Van Wyck and Jeff Nipper, it was literally about, like, exercises.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Such gay reasons to fight. Although Fouad, he was pretty justified here because the guy was, like, sending weird emails to his wife and shit. And honestly, I'm pretty much on Fouad's side for this one. So, for those of you guys that aren't aware of, like, the backstory, as much as I know about it, this guy and him used to be friends. Fouad said this guy started using drugs, and then he became really weird. Apparently, he was sending, like, weird emails to his wife, and talking shit about his wife on podcasts. And then that day, Fouad basically told him, pull up, and then the guy actually did. And Fouad came out with a baseball bat, and he hit the guy while he had the baseball bat, and then the guy's like, oh, I'd beat your ass if you didn't have the bat. So Fouad dropped the bat, and he says he won the fight. From what I've heard, he won the fight. There's no, like, normal footage of it.
Fouad won the fight?
Yeah, well, the guy tore his tricep, and Fouad is fine. I mean, so it sounds like Fouad won the fight. God damn, I didn't know Fouad has that side to him. Mike Van Wyck, I could see, but...
Fouad was standing on business, bro.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, my opinion of it, especially based off of that backstory, like... If somebody tells you to pull up to their house and you pull up and you act like a victim, you're just a bitch. Like, why are you're gonna pull up and just because he has a bat, you're gonna act like a fucking victim? It's his house, bro. Like, you pulled up even if he told you to. And kind of like respect for Fouad for standing on business, bro. I would have done the same thing.
You could say that, like, oh, he shouldn't have told him to pull up. Like, yeah, he probably shouldn't have, but when we've been pissed at times,
yeah,
if it's involving your wife, like, I'm sure everybody said, like, stupid shit.
Yeah, all he said was pull up. And, like, if you're gonna pull up, okay, but just be ready for something to happen. Don't act like a fucking victim, you know? It just doesn't make sense to me.
From what it sounded like, I think that guy, it sounds like he's, like, legit mentally challenged, though.
Yeah, in the video?
Yeah.
It did kind of sound like that. It's like, my head. My head.
Yeah, you're at his house. What did you think? I couldn't tell at first if he was saying that because he's going to try to, like, press charges or some shit.
Yeah, like, what kind of pussy shit is that,
But
bro? You show up to his house, he barely fucking punches you, and then you act like a bitch saying my head. Some victim shit.
But the more he said that, the more it sounded to me, okay, like, this guy's actually, like, not all there.
Like, actually kind of retarded?
Retarded, yeah. I say retarded so much that mentally challenged is probably more impactful for me to say.
That actually has one meaning. Retarded has a lot of meanings.
Yeah. And yeah, just pulling up to people's houses, I mean, that's, you just can't be doing that.
Well, you can if you want to, but be ready to stand on your business on why you're pulling up, or don't pull up, you know?
But yeah, Fouad coming out with the bat and whatever, that doesn't seem like anything to be surprised about if you're pulling up to somebody's house.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you've seen every movie you ever watch, like, when they hear an intruder, what's the first thing to do? The dad gets a fucking bat and, like, walks around. That's literally just what he do. It's, like, instinctual.
What did you say earlier about the bat as the choice of weapon, though?
What? What did I say?
You wouldn't be scared of a bat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I personally wouldn't be scared of a bat because the thing about a bat is the only way you're going to get hit is if you back up and you're like, oh, whoa, and you're away from them. If you're actually standing on business and pulling up and ready to fight like you say you are, like you do what you say you're going to do, then you would be getting close to them. And once you break that barrier, they can't swing the bat on you no more. So the bat's useless. You just have an object in your hand, and I have one less hand to punch or do something with.
So if you pulled up to Fouad's house and he came out with a bat, what would you have done?
If I pulled up to his house to fight, and I was planning on fighting, and he pulled a bat out, I would rush his ass. I would go from nothing to all the way back here to boom, right up on him swinging, because then he can't swing the bat anymore. I mean, there still is a chance he could step back and, get me, but he might only hit me once. I might block it, and then boom, he's fucked.
Well, also, this is an interesting point, too. I saw everybody saying, like, oh, that guy had such a size advantage in Fouad. So, like, it's a big deal that Fouad beat him up.
And he still put the bat down.
Being the smaller guy. But see, here's the thing. I'm assuming this guy is mentally challenged, so that factors in, too. Mm-hmm. It's not like a legit, like, giant guy who's all there in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, retards have retard strength, bro. They're strong, some of them. So that's the thing, retard strength.
Yeah.
All right, we said it too many times in this podcast.
It's retarded, bro. Why would you do that? Stop saying retard.
Should we get a new sign?
What?
Retard.
What about the other word?
Not yet. Maybe one day when Elon Musk buys YouTube. Imagine.
Speaking of Fouad, though, is that everything on the home invasion, whatever the fuck that was?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know too much about the backstory, so that's pretty much all I can say on it.
Should I say what I said about the wife earlier?
Yeah.
I mean, shit. I don't want it to sound like I'm talking shit, but her screaming in the background.
It never helps.
Yeah, that was so pointless. Like, women just make shit so much worse sometimes.
It never makes it better. It only makes it worse. Screaming and shit's going on. Just go inside. Just go, just go inside. Just go into a safe area and be quiet.
But speaking of Fouad, completely off topic, on one of my previous lives, like weeks ago, a couple episodes into the podcast, somebody told me that he had mentioned me on his podcast, the Bro Chat, or whichever one. He has a couple different podcasts with different names. And I'm like, okay, send me a timestamp, because I'm not trying to sit through all that. And the person never sent me a timestamp. So I'm like, okay, this person could be trolling, or this could be an interesting discussion for our podcast if he did mention me. So let's see what he said. So I decided to try to, scroll through Fouad's podcast, see if he might have actually mentioned me. And the first part of the podcast I sit through is like a 10-minute talk about depression and anxiety. These like 4 grown-ass men talking about their experiences with depression and anxiety. And
bruh,
it's one thing when it's like these little kids.
Jesus fucking
but just
Christ.
These grown-ass bodybuilders. And I'm like, okay, just trying to fast forward through it, find the part about me. And then this next part gets, I don't even know if this is worse than the depression anxiety talk, but they go into a whole deep discussion about how badly rice makes them fart. Literally on my live, when the person told me Fouad mentioned me, I'm like, I'm not trying to watch a podcast about, my whole joke about just eating and lifting and shitting and farting. And literally that's the discussion about what makes them fart more, rice or potatoes. And they all agree that it's rice and that potatoes are better for not farting. It's like, holy fuck. And they're actually pulling in like these, considering what that is.
They do decent views?
For a fucking Zoom call talking about farting from rice?
Yeah. Like, how many views?
I think that one had like 60K views in a couple days, but for a Zoom discussion. Like, you think this is ratchet? Like, they're on Zoom in their fucking bedrooms.
Yeah,
Four grown-ass men talking about how rice makes them fart.
That just goes to show there's an audience for everything, unfortunately.
It's like, we better scale the fuck up. How are we going to let these motherfuckers pull in more views?
Talking about depression and rice farts.
Depression and rice farts. We're going to let some depression and rice fart motherfuckers.
We need your help, guys. You can't let depression and rice fart people get more views in our podcast. I know we just started, but still, come on, get that shit up there.
Yeah, I was going to say that they've been doing it for way longer, but still, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, our shit, we should just the first day outdo some fucking depression and rice fart motherfuckers. Sounded just like Wes Watson right there. But it's fucking facts, though.
For real.
For real. So yeah, subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. Click that subscribe button. And shit, that's all we have for today besides the super things. Every episode we read all super things, $5 and up. And this episode, we got a total of 1.
One every week.
We're still on that streak. Well, shit, let me light one up first. JB gets erect says, and this is a $10 one again.
W.
For Tanner, how are you feeling? Sleep apnea any better?
Oh my God. I'm gonna tear up.
Finally.
Yeah, man, I've been feeling good, bro. Thanks for asking. You know, I really appreciate that you actually care about me. Makes me feel pretty good on the inside, honestly. Sleep apnea, luckily I've never had to deal with it, but I've been sleeping pretty fucking good lately, to be honest, for the most part. I've been trying to wake up earlier, and yeah, I've been feeling good, man.
What does that mean, you've been trying to wake up earlier?
I have been waking up earlier, but not as early as I want to yet.
So how do you try
That's what trying is. Like, I'm waking up at like 8. So I got it like an hour earlier. Now I got to get it to 7, and then maybe like 6 will be like the final.
I feel like with the current daylight savings bullshit, 5 is like the perfect time.
Yeah.
Now I still wake up at 6, 7, 8 some days, but
yeah. When you got a lot of shit to do that day, 5 makes sense.
Right now 5 is like easy for me. Like if I have to for a filming day.
And like the thing about waking up early, bro, it's just about getting out of bed. Once you get out of bed, you feel fucking great. Like there's no point in staying up and watching fucking Netflix all night. Just go the fuck to bed. Stay up if you have work to do. That's it. Like last night I stayed up till like 1 in the morning because I was editing, but I still woke up at I think 8. So yeah, man, stop wasting time, guys.
See, now I just like 10 p.m. is late to me. Whereas in the past it would be like,
yeah, I started to get tired like 10 p.m.
I'm just getting started like doing work. But damn, like that day we had the gun pulled on us, that was a fucking eventful. I was just thinking back to it. If I can woke up, did some phone calls for the coaching, then we went, had a gun pulled on us, filmed half that video, finished that whole video. I went and had a leg day. I watched Survivor Series, a wrestling event.
Wait, I was like Survivor.
One of the big 4 WWE events. The only time I'll watch TV. And then I got on some more phone calls, got a new client, edited some shorts. Like, holy shit, man. Like, damn.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a full-ass day right there.
Yeah,
like,
it's so much better than waking up at fucking 10, like, dragging through the morning, getting started filming at like 1 or 2 sometimes.
Bro, I can't...
Barely getting shit, and then the sun's going down.
Yeah, that used to be the norm for us. And it's one thing when it's getting dark at...
And then you still got to
8,
work
9
out,
p.m.
edit, phone calls, like how you said, all that shit.
Yeah, and it's crazy. At 2 p.m., we were done filming. That's usually when we'd like start in the past. Like that's like unheard of.
Which it was only a half a film day technically because I already had some scenes, but still. So pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Finally, one person cares about you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, everybody always cares about, you know, my blood work, my blood pressure, you know, the scars on my chest. But
appreciate you caring about my well-being, JB.
Nobody ever cares about Tanner's well-being.
Yeah.
Which is weird because Tanner is actually older than I am.
Yeah, for real. I'm older than Eric.
I mean, the kind of questions I get asked, like, goddamn, you would think I'm like an 80-year-old man or something.
I'm 30, bro. Y'all should be asking me those questions.
Yeah, I'm 28. People will be talking to me like I'm an 80-year-old man. Like, oh, how's your health?
When's your birthday? Why do I feel like you've been 28 for so long?
April 4th. Oh. So, bro, that's one of the reasons, like, I see, I'll always get these questions no matter what, no matter how much I distance myself from bodybuilding. Even if I guess because I'm still jacked. But yeah, that's just... I don't know how I feel about being 28 or like even like 22 in the past and being talked to like I'm an 80-year-old man. Like, how's your blood work? Like what kind of a fucking question is that for somebody in their 20s?
Yeah.
Like that's just bodybuilding and its health problem. So fucking gay.
It is. It's not worth it.
I feel like I got out in time.
You did.
Well, hopefully you don't get a shot.
Yeah.
But I might as well have just bodybuilding. All right, that's the end of this podcast. Thank you guys for watching. We're out of here.